Every year, the Seattle Police Department responds to nearly 400,000 calls for service and writes nearly 100,000 police reports. It requires nearly 900,000 individual dispatches to address the services requested in those 400,000 calls. Overwhelmingly, the vast majority of requests for service are handled without incident. A small portion, approximately 0.18% or 600 to 700 of all incidents a year, result in some level of reportable force. The Seattle Police Department takes every use of force seriously, with the highest regard for the dignity of people and the sanctity of life. Officers may only use force for a legitimate purpose, and it must be reasonable, necessary, and proportional for the encounter. Here's what happens when police use force. SPD has a low threshold for requiring officers to report a use of force. If an officer uses any tactic that causes pain, whether or not it results in an injury, the officer must notify their supervisor as soon as possible. All reportable use of force is investigated by an employee who is at least a sergeant or acting sergeant. SPD categorizes force based on the seriousness of the injury or potential for injury. Force types range from low level with no more than minor transient pain, or a type 1, to that which involves the use of certain weapons, regardless of whether an injury results, such as a taser, or force that results in more than transient pain but less than serious injury, or a type 2. The most serious force is classified type 3, which involves a serious bodily injury or death, or the intentional discharge of a firearm, regardless of whether that discharge results in injury. About 80% of all uses of force are the lowest level, a type 1. The most serious type of force accounts for just over 1.5% of all force reported in the last 10 years. For both type 1 and 2 uses of force, the employee must complete a use of force report before the end of their shift. These incidents are reviewed by the employee's chain of command, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and ultimately the force review unit. In Type 2 use of force cases, the chain of command conducts a comprehensive investigation, including interviews of the subject and any witnesses, as well as collection of any video or other evidence. Type 3 use of force are investigated by specially trained members of the Force Investigation Team, or FIT, which responds to the scene of the incident and, along with CSI, crime scene investigations, conducts a full forensic investigation. All Type 3 force involving an electronic control weapon or taser, and any associated lower-level force occurring on the same incident are reviewed by the Force Review Board, or FRB. The Force Review Board assures that uses of force receive scrutiny at the highest levels of SPD and our accountability partners, the Office of Police Accountability, OPA, and the Office of the Inspector General, OIG, both of which attend the FRB. In addition to assuring that any potential misconduct is referred to and investigated by the appropriate authorities, the FRB evaluates the force to determine whether the force itself, tactics, communications, and supervision leading up to and following the use of force is consistent with policy and training. Lessons learned from the FRB and trends and patterns observed serve to inform continuous improvement to policy and training. Although police use of force is rare, every interaction matters, and even when reasonable, necessary, and proportional, use of force has a profound effect on the person. SPD and our partners maintain a vigilant focus, because at the Seattle Police Department, our job is to help people.